Now, when I say music tour, I feel that I have to define it. Music tour for me, of course, I mean being on the road for weeks, months, perhaps years at a time with primarily a single artist or some sort of single band performing nightly at a combination of music festivals, concert halls, nightclubs, and more. If it's your first time here, what's up guys? My name is Alex Weyman. I am a full-time music tour manager, and today I'm going to talk about 4 ways that you can start working in the touring music industry. Now, disclaimer, this is a relatively surface level video. I have an in-depth guide on the Final Advance website, which is linked below, that goes into the nitty-gritty about how different roles are basically found on the road and what you can do to start pursuing a specific role in a touring group. So if you want to check that video out, it is on the Final Advance website. There will be a link down below. And if you stay until the end of this video, I will share sort of an unconventional, uncommon secret tip for how you can start catching work on a music tour. Now, when I say music tour, I feel that I have to define it. Music tour for me, of course, I mean being on the road for weeks, months, perhaps years at a time with a crew, with primarily a single artist or some sort of single band performing nightly at a combination of music festivals, concert halls, nightclubs, and more. Now, of course, tours sometimes could outline an album release cycle, or it could just be an annual return tour for each artist in their relative markets. I've had some of my fondest memories being on tour this past year, and I have a YouTube channel dedicated to all the behind the scenes of touring. So if you want to see more of like the actual footage of being on the road, I'll have a link to that channel on this video or in the description below. It's my No Way Home YouTube channel. Now, let's talk about 4 ways for you to start working on a music tour with little to no background in touring. The number 1 tip I always give to anybody who wants to get on the road and work with a touring group is to go to a lot of shows and study the operational elements and chat with the staff, get to know the people at the music venues on the tours in person. That's the easiest way for you to familiarize yourself with the logistics, the run of show, and of course, with the touring and venue personnel themselves. See, by coming to events and witnessing the logistics and watching all of the crew, I'm talking the front of house, the stage hands, the LDs, the VJs, the tour managers, the production managers, watching what they do will give you a sense of the kind of workflow you should expect when on the road, because that's all they do every single day, every single night. I find that some people say they want to go on tour because they are sort of enticed by the element of travel. They think it's a fun, luxurious lifestyle. And while it certainly does have its perks and moments of fun and travel, there's a lot of work behind it. And I think that seeing somebody work a day in their lives as a touring person by going to a venue, chatting with them, seeing what they do, you can begin to get a better grasp on if this is something you really want to pursue. Not to mention chatting with the stage hands, any kind of crew or front of house members that you can interact with at a show will give you the opportunity to talk to them about their day and inquire if perhaps their team is hiring. Now, the second way to find work on a music tour with little to no background or experience is to get a background in technical lighting, video, or anything production related. LDs, VJs, production managers, they are all very technically focused roles. And it's important to become very familiar with these technical aspects for these roles if you want to pursue being on tour. For example, if you want to be an LD for lighting, you need to learn about different types of light fixtures. If you want to get into video, you have to learn about pixels and paneling with video walls. If you want to be a production manager, you need to learn about rigging and union labor laws, because you're going to be dealing with that literally every single day. See, if you don't learn these things now, you'll have to learn them down the road in much more high stakes environments, which is okay, but you can set yourself up for success early on by getting this experience today. Now, the third way to find work on a music tour is to build up your resume of relevant experiences. If you don't have a full background of touring already under your belt, which is probably why you're here watching this video, you probably want to start with a resume that shows off some level of work that is remotely close to what you want to do. So for example, if you want to be an artist liaison on tour or an executive assistant to an artist or to a tour manager, it's probably good to include on your resume any kind of hospitality background you may have. Likewise, if you want to become a production manager, maybe you can put on your resume your corporate experience from when you were a team leader or something like that that demonstrates your ability to lead a team to success. References are also very important when being considered for anything related to touring. In my experience as a tour manager, if I want to hire somebody, I will almost always reach out to a reference, or I'll just hire somebody that I know has worked with one of my trusted colleagues before. And when it comes to the format of the resume, it doesn't have to be complex. You can literally just have a single PDF, single page format with just your most recent gigs, at the top, going down to your oldest gigs or whatever your project experience is. And it's important that you write out in your resume specific tasks that you performed in those roles. So it's one thing to say you were a product manager at some company. Tell me what you did in that role and how it relates to touring. And the fourth way to find work on a music tour is to begin working with beginner bands. There's a ton of beginner bands, I'm sure, in your local area who would die to have some assistance from someone like you. Even if you don't have that technical background, being somebody that helps carry their cases, runs their lights, tunes their audio, does guitar swaps on stage, whatever the case may be, working with these smaller bands will get you the experience. And in the case that they end up going on tour, you will more than likely be the first one that they call. This is especially huge for media. If you want to become a touring photographer, videographer, the number one way that I've seen media folks get into the industry is to start working with a small local band, build up a portfolio, go to their shows, network with other bands, and next thing you know, you are getting called to do all these various events or shows, which then turn into, okay, we want you on the road with us full time. You never know how big a band might get, or if that band knows other bands that you might work with. So by working with the smaller bands, it's a very easy access point to get integrated with them, with their colleagues, and within the industry. And if you stayed until the end, props to you. Here is a secret, sort of unconventional tip for how you can start integrating yourself into the touring industry, and that is to follow touring personnel on social media. Pretty much everybody that I tour with, I follow on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, and we chat and make posts all the time about tour life. And from an outside perspective, if I was trying to get on the road, it would be very easy for me to follow one of these people and see what they're going through, where they're at for the day, connecting with them over Messenger. Not to mention, sometimes these touring personnel will actually post job listings on their social media. Like as a tour manager, I will occasionally post on my Instagram story that I'm hiring a content person or a guitar tech or a drum tech for tour, and I get a ton of DMs from people. But I do that because that's how I like to communicate with my followers or whatever, my community. But also I have a good collection of music industry touring personnel on my Instagram, and so it's much easier for me to post there than try to email every single one of them individually. And if you follow somebody like me or somebody who's in the touring world and they make posts like that, you can very easily begin to integrate yourself into those communications. So I do have Instagram and of course TikTok. Some of you might be coming here from my TikTok page. Both of them are at Aleksey Weyman. Give me a follow, drop some comments on the posts, and DM me if you have any questions. And again, guys, this is a very surface level video. It's sort of intended to be that way, just to give you some big picture ideas for how you can start working on a music tour. If you do want to watch the in-depth guide, go to thefinaladvance.com. It will be linked down below. I have an in-depth tutorial about the different roles you'll find on a music tour and how to begin working towards getting a job in each of those roles with very specific action steps. So if you're serious about it, go check that video out. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or concerns, please put it down in the comments below. I would love to know what you think of this topic, of this video. And if you have any questions for me, please put them down below. I would love to chat with you. Also, make sure you guys follow the page, The Final Advance. There's a ton of other videos on this channel and more coming soon about touring, music industry, event production, and more. And if there's a certain type of video or a topic you want to see a video about, please let me know. I am always open to new suggestions. My name is Alex Weyman. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.